Well, hello everyone, or to those that are here. Let's see, just coordinating my laptop here. Hopefully this time it'll work without any snafus, unlike other times. Okay, where did I go? Oh, hey Susan. Hi Jennifer. Okay, well, I am not seeing myself on my laptop, but I am seeing comments, so go figure. Hi Lana. Okay, I'm gonna redo this and see what the deal is. Okay. I think it's okay. All right. Anyway, we will push forward here. Um, okay. Hi, Suzanne. All right. So people are coming in. That's great. I am going to do these freeform wire earrings today, and um, I did them just with two different embellishments on them. The first one that I did, I just put a silver ball on the bottom of it. And then on the second pair that I made, I added a little tube setting with a CZ in there just to be a little bit different. And, there's really, with freeform, you can kind of do what you want to do. Um, you don't have to make them exactly like I made them, but um, I was just playing around with wire not too long ago, and I came up with these. So hopefully, people will like them, and if you make them, hopefully you can sell a bunch of them if you're into the selling, or just make a pair for yourself. Uh, what I used in these are, well, I used 16 gauge sterling silver wire, just the round wire. And I suppose you could use fine, but I actually want them to be a little stiffer. So that's why I chose the sterling silver wire. All right. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Bev. I'll say hi to everybody that comes in if I can. Hi, Mary. Hi, Antoinette. Okay, I think I'm caught up there. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you can embellish them how you want. You could put a little bezel setting on there too, and just put a little cabochon on there if you wanted to do that as well. So, um, like I said, there's really no rules. It's just kind of what I came up with, and just have fun with it. So I said I used 16 gauge wire, um, and I cut 8 inches, like two 8 inch lengths. And I had a little bit left over, so you could make them a little bit shorter if you want. Not everybody likes a long earring. Um, for me, I don't have a whole lot of neck length, so these are about as long as I would dare go because I don't like them when they hang on your clothing or on your collar, whatever. But to each his own. So anyway, I will get started with them. Hi, Dory. Hi, Diane. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Carol. Oh my, I have a nice group here. All right, so let's get started with making some. I have a handout as usual, and I also um, did a little thing like this, little drawing on the handout at the back, the last page of the handout, which is just all I did was scan the pair of earrings so you could get the shape if you wanted to get this exact shape. It's up to you. You could make them lots of different shapes. This is just what I did. All right, so I'm going to get my 16 gauge wire. All right. And pull some off of here. I've got a ruler in front of me on my mat. so I'm going to measure out, let me turn this down a little bit. I am going to measure out 2 8-inch lengths. Like I said, you could go a little bit shorter if you don't want them quite as long. Entirely up to you. And I suggest doing these simultaneously so you get as close of the shape as possible, so they match. So what I normally do, let's see here, is on my, I don't know if I'm too far away, too close. Let's see here. I want to see if I can adjust this camera a bit. All right, so what I do is I snip off, make sure that the end is flush cut. So with the back of my wire cutters, I just make sure that that's nice and flush. Well, I barely caught anything there. It just kind of slipped off. Okay, and what I'll do is take my standard round nose pliers. Do that. That wire's flush. Okay. And I'm going to use the small round nose pliers to just start to make a spiral. And just turn that loop like one time so it touches itself, touches the wire. And then I'm going to put my tine of my plier in that loop and just kind of pull the wire around just a bit. If you see that, I'm going to take my other wire and I'm going to do the same thing. If you really want to be perfect as getting your loop size the same size for both of them, you can make a little mark with a Sharpie marker on your plier, so that way you insert your wire at the same place for the next time. And then I'm going to insert that plier in there and kind of wind it around just a bit. And then I'm going to put them together and compare, which is pretty close. Might be just a tad different, but it depends on how much of a perfectionist you are, or if it matters to you that much. They're going to be on 2 separate ears, so I don't think that it matters a whole lot, but I do try to get as close as possible to being the same. Okay, so then I'm going to need to make my second bend. Okay, so let's see. If I was going to work off of one of these template things right here, then I would want my first bend to be right around there. I'm not real scientific with my measurements. I would say it's probably about 1 inch up from the spiral. And I'm going to take a large round nose plier and then just bend it. Like that. This is a little bit longer. That's okay. I'll just make it that way. And then I'm going to use my finger tools to bend the wire around like this. Okay, so it's pretty close to the template, but like I said, it's free form. You really don't have to worry that much about it unless you really want them uh, a specific way. So now I'm pushing on this wire a little bit too because I want to form it, well, I'm forming it with my fingers, but you could use your tools if you wanted. Now, this wire needs to be coaxed into going this way a little bit, so I'm going to just push on it. And a lot of it is just finger formed, for lack of a better term. And then I need to end this wire somewhere. Now, the very first pair that I made, I let the wire go down to the bottom and I connected it right there. But then I thought, I could end it a little bit higher up, is what I did on the second earring here. And I actually kind of like this one a little bit better, but that's just a personal choice. All right, so see, I'm kind of bending that wire a little bit, kind of pushing it to make it a little bit narrow. You could do this with tools too, but your fingers are very good tools as well. You see how I'm coaxing this wire to get it in shape a little bit better. So I'm going to end this one a little bit shorter. So I'm going to make a cut, probably, I'd say it's about a 45-degree angle. And I want to make sure that that wire will solder well to the adjacent wire. So I want to cut it at a 45-degree angle so it will seat a little bit better. I'm doing it wrong. I have to think about this. No, that's wrong. And I want to make sure I don't cut the other wire. I do want it this way. No, I don't. I do, I don't, I do. Okay. So I'm going to cut that off, and that was wrong. Still, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's because I need to have my pliers this way. Okay, that's better. So now I've got that 45-degree angle, and I'm going to bend this out just a little bit. I can take my round nose pliers to kind of bend it a little bit more than my fingers can do. And then that way it rests on this adjacent wire. You just kind of have to manhandle it a little bit. You see how simple that is, though, really? Hi, Doreen. Yeah, they're fun. They're fun and they're easy. I mean, they're incredibly easy. So you just have to manipulate the wire a little bit to how you want it to bend, because it's kind of springy and you've got to try to control that. All right, so that's this one. It's a little bit different. Not much. I just shortened that wire, if you can see that right there. That's actually pretty good for doing it mostly by hand. And you can tweak the center a little bit if you want to make it a little bit more spirally in the center. I think that looks a little bit better. And also, if you're going to put a cabochon, or I mean a tube setting or a bezel cup, you want it to be able to fit on that spiral. Not too big. You don't want to make that spiral too big so that it doesn't cover. Now this little piece that I cut off here, that little 45-degree angle, that really needs to be filed just a bit because it's this is probably not the right tool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my flex shaft here and just, yeah, that's all it needed, was just a little bit, because sometimes there's just a little bit of a point on the end of that wire. There. And right now it's just a matter of tweaking. Okay. So I'll try to make the second one like that. Where's my other piece of wire? I had already started playing with this a little earlier, so yeah. Oh no, this is the one I did. Okay. So then I'm going to go up. Well, again, I'm just kind of eyeballing it because that's how I do everything. Bend it. Just start to make my bend to see if I'm close. Wow. Okay, that surprised me. And then my finger tools. Hopefully you have enough hand strength. This isn't really that tough, but some people are a little more challenged with hand strength. So, you know, you might find that your tools might work a little bit better for you with this. I just try to work with my fingers on some of this so I can avoid any kind of plier dents and bumps or whatever. But any round tool that you have, I mean, even if you didn't have a round nose plier like this, in something like this, you could use even a pencil or something rounded that you could just bend that over with a little bit. Okay. And like I said before, they don't have to be exactly perfect, but I like them to be as much as they can be. Okay. So then I'm going to start to bow this out a bit. Got a little bit aggressive with that first pull. Yeah, I bent it out a little bit too far. And I need to snip off a bit. Honestly. Squeeze those in a little bit. Once I solder this little join to the other part of the wire, then I'm going to hammer it. It will make it a little bit stronger by doing that, a little more stable. I think I still have too much. There's a certain amount of tweaking to be done with these. I haven't really had the time to play with other shapes like this, but I think that you could make a lot of different styles of this, type of free form wire. think this is a little bit long here. You see how I'm just bending this to coax it into the shape that I want. And even after that little joint is soldered, you can still bend it around a little bit. Okay. A little different. Okay, so Nancy, this is dead soft. I suppose you could use half hard too. I really haven't used half hard much, so I don't see why not though. But it is not difficult to bend this. The half hard might make it a little bit more challenging to bend it with your fingers. I don't know. All right, so I'm gonna go move over here to my soldering place. All right. Hey, Debbie. All right, so on my soldering board here, I'm going to use my little hummingbird holders. These, if you solder and you haven't used these yet or know about them, they're a wonderful, wonderful tool to help hold things in place while you're soldering. So I'm going to put one of those. Make sure that this wire, I just want to keep the wire from moving, popping up and moving while I'm soldering. So I'm holding down the wire, both sections of wire, so it doesn't go anywhere while I do this. And I'm going to be using medium paste solder because I like it. I am using the paste solder from Pepe Tools, and this is a different formulation than the original paste solders that had, I think it was cadmium in them, which is, like really bad. So this formula is much, much safer to work with. And I've just really become a fan. Now, paste solder is not good for every application, but for stuff like this, I find it very useful. All right, so I've got those in place. And get my torch here. Warm everything up. Doesn't take long at all. Boom. That's it on this one. So remove these, they're hot, so be careful with that. And that looks like it's soldered. Quench it. Okay, it is soldered. Easy enough. And then Then if you still need to tweak your wire, you can still do that. I'm going to stick this in the pickle and do the next one. This, when you're trying to butt wires up together like that, like this, I mean, if you recall, or if you know, like when you're closing jump rings, you need to overextend, when you're holding your pliers and you've got that split and you're trying to connect it. Sometimes you need to go over the jump ring just a little bit, like overextend it and then pull it back, and then it kind of like locks in place. This is sort of the same principle, a little bit more minor, I guess, but um, you just want to make sure that that wire is not going to move. Now, my hummingbirds are hot, so I'm going to switch to a different pair here. Those little 1-inch ones, if you don't have the 1-inch size, these are the 2-inch, which are fine depending on the project you're working with, but the little 1-inch really fits in a lot of places on your soldering board a lot easier. Sometimes these want to go over the edge depending on where I've put my piece. All right, so now I got to put my paste solder on here. Just a little dab will do ya. When your soldering board is already hot, the minute you put your solder on it, it starts to melt from the residual heat, which is fine. It just really helps you to see where you're placing it. Okay. All right. I don't know if that came apart or if it was closed well or not. We'll see. Quench. Yep, it's soldered. Now, it's not perfect. I can see just a tiny little gap there. But we're going to call it good for right now. And then when I go to texture it, if it splits apart, then we know that it wasn't good. All right, so next up, what I would do is texture the piece before I add the bezel cup or tube setting or the ball and the jump ring. I would want to have the texturing done first. My bench block here. Hi, Judith. Hi, Antoinette. Okay. Oh, Antoinette, I'll put the person's name in the group page on the after with the resources after the video or after the demo's over. There's lots. He's a guy from Facebook, and he makes a ton of them, and they're really really handy to have. So I highly recommend having a few. All right, now this first one that I put in the pickle is really not very clean, but we're going to go ahead and texture it. So for this, I'm just using a small embossing hammer, and I'm just going to tap on it. Am I in the frame okay? I guess so. Okay. Move that out of the way. I love this hammered look. And you really only hammer on the one side, texture on the one side, because it seems like if you try to hammer on the other side, it just kind of cancels out what you did on the front. So, and it's not really necessary to be on the back anyway. If you're afraid of smashing your fingers doing this, you can always hold this with a craft stick. I don't know if you look at the group, a few posts back, I was posting that it's either feast or famine with me as far as having ideas of what to present. And this, I don't know, the last few weeks, I guess since I got back from Tucson, although that didn't really have anything to do with it, I've just had all these different ideas popping up. And it's like I always want to act on them right away, but there's only so much time and so much energy that I have to do them. So sometimes what I'll do is I get these meal trays that you get like at Gordon Food Service, some places like that. They're just like regular fast food trays, and I'll put some of the supplies for each project on the trays, and I kind of stack them up or whatever. So I have different things going at different times, basically. Or like I don't want to lose the idea, so I put whatever I think I need, aside, and um, I work on them when I have time or whatever. But that way I don't lose the idea. All right, so this one is hammered. Hi, Susan. Hi, Judy. So this is hammered, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to solder on a tube setting on this, and also the jump ring for hanging it. So what I'm using, because I have them, is 3.5 millimeter jump rings. You could use a 4. You could use a 2.5 or a 3. 2.5 is kind of small though. I guess it just depends on what you have on hand. But I usually have jump rings cut up ahead of time, so I just chose the 3.5 because they're not too terribly large. Hi, Dory. The handout I will post in the group page right when I'm done with the live demo, and you'll be able to download it. All of my handouts from all the previous demos are located in the files section in the group page. If you open that up, you will see all the different demos, and you can download the instructions from there. Now, I do want to add, as long as we're talking about that, I want to say that Facebook sent a notice out, I don't know, a few days ago, and said that they are no longer going to keep our demos, our videos in the groups. And I guess they're phasing it out, and it's supposed to be um, done by June. You will no longer be able to watch any of my demos or anybody's demos in their group after June 1st, I think it is. But I've downloaded all my demos on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. So none of them will be lost. That would be very disturbing to me to have all these done and then not have any access to them. So a while back, I started, moving them over to YouTube. And now every time I do a demo, as soon as I'm done, I upload it to YouTube, and it's there for however long YouTube's around. Hopefully it'll be around forever. But yeah, that would be very disheartening to have all of this stuff just gone forever. So that's just a little side note. And I will put a note on the group page periodically to remind people if they want to see them. Any of my former demos, you can just go straight to my YouTube channel, and I'll put a link there for the address. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so, and then that way you'll have the whole library of all the demos I've done for nearly 5 years. In July, I think it'll be 5 years that I've been doing these demos in the group. So, that's kind of a like, wow, 5 years already. But anyway, like I said, I'd hate for you to not be able to find them, but you could always message me or mention on the group page or whatever if you're looking for something specific. But the files with the handouts should remain. They didn't say anything about files. It was just the video storage. So, you might want to think about that though, and maybe look back at some of my previous demos. If there are instructions that you didn't download, you might want to do that, print them up or keep them as a file, whatever. But I do, after every demo, for those who aren't familiar, I do post the handout for that particular day, the demo, and you can always keep them or print them out. So, okay, so let me grab this. Let's see here. Well, actually, I think I'll do the silver ball on this one. I'll do that as for starters. And if you don't know about making silver balls, what I do is use bezel wire. A lot of people use bezel wire. It's fine silver. This particular one is scalloped. It doesn't have to be scalloped. Scalloped is kind of fun because you can measure your balls by the scallops. And so for a 4 millimeter ball, it takes 3 scallops, which equates to about 12 millimeters of wire. Okay, so I use a charcoal block, and I've dug out a little hole. I just kind of made a little hole in the charcoal, blew that out, and let's see. And then I'll put this little piece of fine silver bezel and my torch. And the charcoal block kind of makes little fiery things that kind of bounce off. I think it's just dust, or maybe it's part of the block. I don't know, but look how fast this is going to melt. And it falls right in that hole. And you can just kind of turn your flame around, roll it around a little bit to get that ball nice and smooth. Okay, so just let it sit in there until it cools for a minute. Okay, and it kind of gets a little, it loses the shine a little bit when it's cooled off. So then I'm just going to dunk that in some water. And that's actually a 4 millimeter ball. because I measured it earlier to try them out. Oh, I'm losing my balls. Oh, here it is. Okay. My husband heard me and just gave me a look. You guys know me. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, so if it's not perfectly round, you can stick that back in the hole and give it a little bit more heat. Okay. Sometimes, though, it's not a bad idea, or it's not bad if the balls are a little bit flat on the bottom as opposed to being totally round, because they will lay better. This one has got a problem. They'll lay better on your work when you're soldering. Sometimes you got to tweak those a little bit too. Okay. I keep dropping them. All right. That's the problem when they're round. All right, so now I'll get rid of my charcoal block. Quench this one. Okay, that's quenched. And now I'm going to put this ball right here on the join where I joined those two together. All right, so back to my hummingbirds. I'm just holding it in place. That's all I'm doing. And I'm going to use easy solder now. I used medium for the first join. So now I'm going to use easy because it melts at a little bit lower temperature than the medium. So hopefully there's no fear of dislodging the first joint. You see that? Replace that. Okay. So that's the ball. Heat it all up. Okay. Okay, so that's attached. And now I'm going to attach the jump ring to the top of this piece. And I'm going to use the hummingbird to hold this down again. Only because I want to make sure nothing moves. Sometimes they do move around when you put the heat on them. All right, I've closed my jump ring. I want to make sure that I put the split side down on the against the earring. And I'm going to use the easy solder on this too. Just make sure. sure that I get that in place. Nudged right up against the earring. That's easy. Of course, that's going to move it. That's a little bit too much solder. Make sure that you're centered. All right. Okay. And I forgot to turn my fan on. I need to do that so I don't set off the smoke alarm. There we go. That would not be nice to set off the smoke alarm. Scares the bejesus out of you. Guess I soldered it to my block. I don't have the right pliers. There we go. Took a little bit of the board with me there. Okay. Well, we'll see how that looks after it's pickled. All right. Let's get this other one here. Any questions? Get out of my head, Sue. Yeah, I have a way of doing that. Okay. All right. Any questions up to this point? Okay, here's the other one. Now, I would wire brush this. Just to get this cleaned up a little bit, which I have over here, just off to the side. Just clean that up. I didn't do that on the first one. I just remembered that I didn't do it. It's not imperative, but it's nice to have your silver clean before you solder again. But I'm going to texturize this one. And then this one I'm going to put the tube setting on. And it curves a little bit as you're hitting it. So, I mean, that's not uncommon. You'll have to kind of bend it back down or flatten it with a hammer on the other side, rawhide hammer, just to flatten it all again. That's before you put your bezel cup or tube setting on. Okay, so now, because it's kind of curved a little bit, I'm just going to hit it with the rawhide mallet just to flatten it out a little bit. And also with your finger tools. Okay, so I'm going to use a 4 millimeter tube setting. Let me move up here. I'm going to use a 4 millimeter tube setting. And if you're not familiar with tube settings, they are pretty neat little invention. They come, if you buy them already made, they already have a little seat inside where the crystal or the CZ is going to fit into. And if you look at the wall of the tube setting, the top looking down into the tube setting from the correct angle, the wall is thin on top. The wall on the bottom is much thicker. That's the area that you want to solder on to your piece. So you want to make sure you solder the correct side onto your piece, or you're not going to be able to set your stone. All right, so just going to hold these down. These little hummingbirds retain their heat for a while, so be careful. You might even want to quench them before you handle them again. Now, I'm setting the tube setting right on the spiral, the small part of the spiral here. And I'm going to use medium paste solder. Let's see here. Can you see that a little bit better? I'm just putting that thick end wall on here. Okay, but I have to put my solder, my paste solder on here first. And I'm going to take some medium. Just want to put some on the wire itself, and then some I'm going to put inside the tube setting. You want to make sure you don't get paste solder on the seat, the seat for the stone, because that will alter how your stone is going to, or even if your stone is going to seat. So I found that out the hard way. So let me just put some on the bottom of this itself. That's probably the easiest way to work with the paste solder here. All right. Okay, so that's on. Now with the soldering of this, you want to make sure that you don't melt your tube setting, because that would be very easy to do. So you want to make sure that you can control your heat a little bit better. I don't want to burn my phone, so backing off a little bit. Warm up the whole piece. Okay. Solder flowed. Okay. It will smoke sometimes, the paste solder. That's what's smoking, so don't be alarmed. Okay, so that's on, but I need to solder the jump ring on here, and I'm going to do that. I'm just going to clean this off the cheater's way. Let's see here with my flex shaft. Over here. I'm just going to clean just a little spot off here of the fire scale, just so that the solder will stick on there. All right, and get my other jump ring, split side towards the hearing. I'll get some easy solder. Okay. Whoa, that's still hot. It's on. Okay, quench that. And then put this in the pickle. Get the other one out. Okay. Clean this one up. Sorry, use my finger right there. Clean this up. All right, so this is the one with the silver ball on here. I'm going to clean this up a bit. Over here. And if there's solder that needs to be cleaned up, there's a little bit here on the back. And I'm just going to take my white silicone wheel and just clean that up right there. Easy peasy. These wheels have a little bit of grit in them, and they really clean up nicely. The back of the solder or the ball looks fine. what I would normally do now at this point for this particular piece is put it in the tumbler and get a nice high shine to it. I'm going to put one of these 3M wheels in here and just kind of polish this up. But the final polish would be in the tumbler. But just to save time and show you how it's done, this works out pretty well. Now, if you wanted to add a patina on here, you certainly could. It's just a matter of what you like. But for me, something like this, I would like to keep this shiny. I just like how they look shiny. But there's nothing wrong with the patina look either. Just a matter of your taste. So it would still be a little bit shinier. It'll be a lot shinier actually, put in the tumbler. But this is the one style. Now, let's see. All right. Okay, so I'm going to take the tube setting one out of the pickle. It's a little early. It should actually be in there a little bit longer, but I'm going to take it out and we'll set the stone. Now, because it's a CZ, I can go ahead and put that in the tumbler anyway after the fact, after I set it. It won't affect it. If you were putting a bezel cup on with a cabochon, it depends on the stone. Some stones can take the tumbling, some can't. A lot can't. So I would be cautious with that. Let's see here. All right, for setting the stone, I am going to use this little tube setting tools. Let's see here. All right. So I need to take this out of the pickle. I'm going to brush this up a little bit. Just to clean it up a bit. I'm just using a soft brass brush with some water and clean some of that. I guess it's oxidation. It's not black, but it comes from the pickle. Okay. Maybe it's just the fact that it had the flame on it. And it gets kind of frosted, a little bit frosted. All right, so get this set up here. Now I chose a 4mm turquoise CZ. I had a hard time deciding what I wanted on here. but I'm very partial to turquoise. So this is like a little tube setting kit that helps form the lip, the edge of the tube setting over the CZ. So you pick the one, the appropriate size. That's going to go over. And I put my CZ upside down on my bench block here, and then put the tube setting over it to grab the CZ nice and flat. You want to make sure that the CZ is level. A lot of times when you place the CZ in the tube setting, it will be a little bit crooked. You'll see one edge maybe be a little higher than the other. That's not good. You want to make sure that it's nice and flat, flush all the way around, that the stone is inserted properly. But this looks crooked to me. So I'm going to pop that out. Maybe I'm not. Okay, we'll try that again. That looks better. Okay, so I'm going to take my tool and very gently, I'm going to tap. I'm going to kind of go around like this as I tap. Now that stone moved. Darn it. Okay. That's what you want to make sure it doesn't happen. You want to make sure that the stone stays flush in there. Come on. They can be a little finicky. But it does work. That I felt a little crooked. Honestly, the two that I did on the other set were fine. First try, perfect. Because I'm live on camera, they're not. That's just how it is. Okay, good. And then I'm also going to go like this and kind of coax that rim to close in on the stone. So that stone's not going anywhere. Okay. So that's that. So I'm not going to make the matches for these today. I just did one of each to show you because this is a demo. But those are the two. This is with the ball and this is with the CZ. And On the floor it went. I need one of those fanny grabbers, fanny pinchers, whatever they're called, to grab stuff up with because I drop stuff all the time. That's just how I roll. Okay, let's do that again. Those are the two. One with the ball and one with the stone. It really couldn't be simpler, in my opinion. I mean, this is just a real simple pair of earrings, and they look really nice. They can be fancy. They can be, wear them with jeans. It's just a matter of what you want to do with them. Like I said, I will tumble these. Um, Also, a good indicator if you didn't set your stone properly, you'll find it in the tumbler. So that's always a good indicator that you got it in there, as long as you don't find it in the shot. Um, but yeah, I mean, now I did this with 16 gauge. They are light as far as I'm concerned. I don't like heavy earrings at all. But if you wanted something a little bit thicker, you could go with 14 gauge. But like I said, I don't like heavy, but you could do that if you wanted to. But I think it's pretty neat, and you could do variations of them. Like I said earlier, um, you could make the shapes entirely different, and you can solder on different embellishments if you wanted to. But I just thought these were pretty simple, minimal tools, and a nice look. So do you guys have any other questions or anything? Let me see if anybody's uh, posted any comments. Oh, okay. It's always nice to get good other ideas. It's just I get a lot of enjoyment looking at other people's work and see what they've come up with, and sometimes you can glean a little bit of that. I'm not saying to copy their stuff necessarily. Anything that I do as a demo, go ahead and do it. I have no claim to any of this stuff. I mean, yeah, these came out of my head, but I am pleased if you like them and you want to make them for yourself. I don't get my panties up in a bunch over stuff like that. So, I mean, I can understand that if you work really, really hard to find a certain technique or whatever. But stuff like this, if I don't come up with it, somebody else will come up with it. So, anyway, all right. I've got some Easter ideas, springtime, Easter, whatever ideas coming up. They're still kind of like on the back burner. I've got several different things that I'm working on to see how they come out. Some things are successful, some things are not so much. So when I get those down, then I will share them with you as a demo. But like I said, it's either feast or famine. So um, if you guys have ideas that you want to see too, you can always um, mention it in the group page or something you'd like to see if I can do it. I'm kind of in love with those little glass bunnies right now, and I've been playing around with those a lot. And um, I don't know, you saw the pendant. I think you saw the pendant that I seed beaded around a few days ago, maybe last week. I don't know. And I'm kind of in love with those right now. So I will move around. I'm trying to think of an Easter springtime project, maybe with enameling. I haven't done enameling in quite a while, so I'd like to do something like that too. So, all right, guys, I will have the handout available shortly. This is it. You can print it off. It's got everything in there that I talked about, and if you haven't subscribe to my YouTube channel, please do so. I'll put that in the notes too, along with the person to contact for the hummingbird holders. And we'll see you next time. So thanks for being with me. I always enjoy your being here with me and your feedback and all that stuff, your questions, comments, all that kind of good stuff. So see you next time. Bye bye.